All right, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about human resources, but we're going to throw out the old rule book. Forget everything you think you know about paperwork and payroll. We're going to dive deep into how HR has basically become the strategic command center for modern businesses, the very engine that's helping them navigate a world that, let's be honest, changes by the minute.
So when you hear the letters HR, is that what pops into your head? Hiring and firing? You know, the department that handles the revolving door of people coming in and people going out. It's a super common idea, but honestly, it doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what's really going on.
The reality is so much bigger. Today's HR is more like the strategic bridge of a ship. It's the department responsible for steering the whole company through these really choppy waters of economic shifts, wild new technologies, and workforce changes. It's way less about just filling out forms and way more about constant adaptation.
Okay, so to really get a handle on what's driving this huge transformation, we've got to understand the world that HR actually lives in. There are these massive forces, both from outside and inside a company, that are completely remaking the entire field. Let's break them down.
Think of the HR environment as the entire ecosystem a company operates in. No business is an island, right? And pretty much every single decision HR makes is a direct reaction to all these powerful pressures, both from inside and out. So we can basically split these forces into two big buckets. You've got the external ones, that's the big picture stuff from the world at large, like the economy, laws, and new tech. And then you have the internal forces, all the pressures from inside the company itself, like its culture, its goals, and of course, its people.
So on the outside, you've got these huge economic factors, things like national income and inflation that pretty much set the rules for what you can pay people. Then there's this whole spider web of political and legal stuff, from labor laws to discrimination rules that you have to follow. And of course, they're the game changers. Technological leaps like AI and massive demographic shifts, which mean the workforce is more diverse and educated than it's ever been.
Okay, now let's peek inside the company's walls. Internally, you've got forces like trade unions, which are always there advocating for employees. You've got the company's own unique DNA, its culture, its values, its beliefs. There's always that natural conflict between what an individual wants for their career and what the organization needs to achieve. And finally, the company's own mission and policies set the internal playing field for HR.
Now what happens when all these powerful forces, internal and external, collide with each other? Well, you don't get simple problems with easy, clean answers. Instead, you get these deep, ongoing tensions, these fundamental debates that need a real strategic framework to manage. And this is exactly where different models of human resource management, or HRM, come into play.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. For years, the thinking was that leaders had to pick a side in these debates. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? What if the goal isn't to pick a side, but to find a balance? This is the core idea behind the really influential Harvard model of HRM. It argues for looking at the interests of all the stakeholders, not just the shareholders, but the employees, the customers, the whole community. So here's the first big tension. What's more important? Your human capital, the actual people, or your HR practices, the systems you build to manage them? Should you go all in on hiring superstar talent, or should you focus on building bulletproof systems? Well, a stakeholder approach, like the Harvard model, says you need both. You need great systems that attract, and more importantly, empower great people. That's how you create value for everyone involved.
And that brings us to another classic dilemma: fit versus flexibility. Do you design your HR systems to be a perfectly tailored suit for your current strategy, or do you build in the flexibility to handle whatever the future throws at you? You know, in a perfectly predictable world, fit would be amazing. But in the world we actually live in, flexibility is absolutely key to survival, and that serves the long-term interests of every single stakeholder. Oh, this one is a classic. Do you manage your people through commitment, empowering them with trust and the freedom to do their best work? Or do you lean on control, using strict rules and close supervision? The Harvard model comes down hard on the side of commitment. It really sees employees not as a cost you have to control, but as an asset. Their commitment leads to better performance, which, in the end, benefits the entire organization.
So how does all this theory, these big strategic tensions, actually play out in the real world? Well, the major trends we're seeing in the workplace right now are direct answers to these very debates. The future of HR isn't some far-off idea. It's being built as we speak by these exact forces.
First up, the hybrid work model. Let's be clear, this isn't just a leftover from the pandemic. It's a strategic answer to that tension between what organizations need and what employees are demanding. More flexibility, better work-life balance. It's a huge move toward a more adaptable, human-centered way of working.
And don't think for a second this is a small shift. Look at this number, 81%. Projections show that more than 4 out of 5 companies will be using a hybrid model. This is not a fringe benefit anymore. It's fast becoming the standard operating procedure for giants like Microsoft, Ford, and Amazon. Next, let's talk tech. Generative AI is making its way into HR, and it's doing it fast. It's automating and improving really complex tasks. We're talking about writing personalized job descriptions, creating chatbots that can answer common employee questions instantly, even analyzing data to help predict what a company's workforce will need in the future. This frees up HR pros to do the more human, strategic work.
And then there's DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This has gone from being a nice-to-have item on a checklist to a core part of business strategy. Companies are responding to those demographic shifts we talked about, but also to demands from their own employees. They're realizing that an inclusive workplace isn't just the right thing to do, it's absolutely critical if you want to attract top talent and drive better performance.
And if you think this is just corporate talk, just follow the money. The numbers don't lie. Companies are pouring serious investment into their DEI programs. Just look at this market. It's set to more than double in only 6 years. That's not just a trend. That's a sign of a deep, strategic commitment. Okay, so we've covered the forces, the big debates, and the major trends. But what does all of this actually mean for you? Whether you're a leader, someone hoping to be a manager, or just trying to navigate your own career, how do you get ready for this new world of work? It really all boils down to focusing on the human side of things. First, you have to actively engage people. In a hybrid world, that means trusting your team and focusing on the results they produce, not just the hours they're online. Second, get serious about mental health. That means building systems that actually prevent burnout instead of just reacting to it. Third, you've got to create a culture of communication where people feel safe to speak up. And finally, you got to rethink career growth. The old career ladder is gone. It's more like a lattice now, with opportunities in every direction. The goal is to help your people navigate.
And all of this brings us to one final, really critical question. As we keep redesigning our workplaces with new tech and new ways of working, we have to keep asking ourselves, who are we building all this for? Is it to serve the goals of the organization, or is it to serve the needs of the individual? The biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity for the future of HR is finding a way to make the answer, somehow, both.